Hello, and welcome to the Psychedelic Tea Chat, where we talk about all things psychedelic and how that helps you through the lens of herbalism. So, today I'm going to talk about the art of letting go. It's a very important, necessary thing to let go, right? And so I have some herbal blend today to assist with that, and wanted to say thanks to everyone who replied and shared information about what to talk about on the Psychedelic Tea Chats. I have been diligently working and writing and the answers to questions and thoughts and ideas that have come up that you all presented. And I'm really excited to bring those through. In this moment, I was working with a client recently last week about letting go in our psychedelic integration process of like, how do you really do that? How do you really let go, right? Like, how do we enjoy tea and let go of things that aren't needed anymore? So today, the tea that I'm drinking is yarrow, sage, and holy basil. And I really love sage and yarrow, sage particularly for being able to cleanse the body, cleanse the space. And this isn't Salvia apena, this is Salvia officinalis, garden sage, which is really easy to grow in your garden. Very easy to cultivate and does a lot of the similar clearing, cleansing properties internally in your body and within your space. And then yarrow is known really as like the herb that really helps for the wounded healer, for those of us who have been through a lot and are still supporting others and making that process happen and wanting to change the world. So I love yarrow. And then I added holy basil because I'm always down for a moment of an adaptogenic herb that is going to help me reduce my stress and just love life and to be centered and to come from the world in a place from calm and from an expression of an open heart, and the herbal ally that will help me guide my life based upon where my heart is guiding me rather than my mind. Because in the art of letting go, some of the things that hold us back is our mind. Like, I don't know about you all, but for me, my mind is one of the things that really holds me into old patterns. It makes me want to stay in places I shouldn't be in, talk to people who no longer are necessary in my life. And I know this. And try to get stuck in how I think things should look rather than learning from nature and moving with the patterns of nature. So, one of the things that I really love to challenge myself with, and I invite you to encourage you to put into your life, is moving with the seasons, moving with the weather, moving with how nature's guiding us. A lot of the times in our timeline, we have forgotten how to move and groove with nature. And nature gives us all the clues, right? You just look outside your window and there's a lot of times when like it's raining outside and your mood's a little bit slower, or you have seasonal depression. And this is why these herbal allies are really important. But even more is letting go of your ideology of what you need to look like, what the world has programmed us to do. So, hey, those of you who are watching on my YouTube know that I'm recording but doing this live on IG. You're sitting in the sun right now. Yes, the sun is out here. So this came up because I had a client who they had a group of people excommunicate them, and it was really hard for them in their integration journey because they're realizing all of these truths and the way that they want to be and how they want to walk through the world. And they realize that these people don't want to be involved with them, and then supposedly they just cut them off, and it kind of took them out of the blue. But I was expressing to them how important it is that the herbal ally they were working with was holding them so that they could go through this process without cycling back into a physical uh dis-ease that is normally something that happens for them in high stress times. And they didn't have that because they had their herbal ally that we were working with. And I helped them really realize that, like, this is for their benefit, because their growth, where they're going, these people aren't going to be able to support them. They're not going to be the group that's going to really make them feel good. But letting go is not as easy as it seems all the time, right? Like, how many times do we know something's not for us, but we still hold on? So one of the things that I wanted to share was some of the points of letting go that I think are really beautiful, and I consider the art of letting go. So the first and foremost is trusting in your process. So you want to make sure you're not allowing others to dictate how, when, and why, and where you're letting go in your life. And this is a lot easier said than done, but as a practice, it's very important, is trusting yourself. Now, if you ever end up working with me or becoming a student with me, this is the baseline of everything I'm teaching you. When we're working with herbs, they are sharing with you your information, like things, their relationship with you and what's important. And I'm here to guide you and to validate and to say, yes, that's what that plant does and this and that. But you're the one who's telling me what's happening, because what you're cultivating is the ability to trust yourself. And this is just so important and gets forgotten so many times, and will save you so much shit, right? Like, because it's just like this, you trust yourself, and no matter what, even if it seems weird in the moment, if you trust yourself and you say no or you say yes to the thing that you want to do, it will take you where you're supposed to go. So you have to trust the process of letting go as well. And you have to trust if someone or something is no longer needed to be in your life. The second thing that I think is really important, because I'm an herbalist, is finding your herbal ally or a couple herbal allies for you in that process of letting go. Right now, for me, there's a lot of letting go and being okay with not explaining to anyone why I'm actually doing it. Like, I don't have to explain. So that has a lot to work with my throat, right? Like, it has a lot to work with my willpower, and my throat. So my herbal allies right now have been calendula, holy basil, and licorice root, because I've been known to not speak my truth and lose my voice. And then I've been known to not process and be in my own willpower, which is calendula, not digesting my own experiences and being like standing in my truth. And so I'm drinking that to continue that process. And then I'm doing holy basil, like it's in this blend today, because I want to stay in a centered space. I want to be calm about it. I want my heart to guide the way. I want to keep my mind out of the process and just flow so I can trust. So right now, those are my three herbal allies. And if you're letting go of someone or something and it's affecting your heart, or it's affecting your digestion, or it's affecting your nervous system, or it's affecting your reproductive system, or even a physical musculoskeletal, then you have a specific herbal ally that will be able to help you. And this is where having an herbalist or a guide or a mentor comes in. And that's my next step for being able to flow in the art of letting go, is having a guide or mentor. It doesn't have to be me. It doesn't have to be a particular person, but I want to stress the importance of having someone with you along the process. It could be a therapist, it could be a business coach, a life coach, a psychedelic integration coach like me, or just a clinical herbalist like me, where the goal is to uplift your life and support you. But you want to pick a mentor who's going to encourage you to do the things that everyone else is telling you not to do, but your heart is telling you to do. They're the ones that are going to guide you to trust yourself. That's who you want to be with. You want to be working and having a mentor who's a few steps ahead of you, who knows how to release and let go, who knows how to follow their dream and passion, who's done it, right? Who's lived it, who's not going to judge you for spending money on something that's going to get you someplace further, who's not going to judge you for becoming the better version of yourself, who's not going to make you feel like you are somehow thinking you're better than everyone else because you're actually beginning to care about your next step in life and what you do, and you make it a priority, right? So you want to have that guide and mentor. I am not here today without my guides and mentors, and people will could shame me for the amount of money that I've spent for those mentors and guides. I have spent more money on mentors and guides than I did on my college education. I love my college education. I'm grateful I got it done. However, my mentors, my business coaches, and my guides, what I learned from them and gained, and the places they showed me that were possible to go within my own self and soul, priceless. Priceless. I would spend every single dollar I spent on those guides and mentors all over again. And I really appreciated every single person that I spent money on, because there's a certain level of professionalism that came along with it that had a certain support and accountability that I can get from friends, but it's not the same. So there's always great to have one good friend, trusted ally, but it's even better to have a guide and mentor that you pay for, whose profession is going in a direction that you want to be in, who you find inspirational, who's willing to step into a world and make their own terms, because that's what you want. You want to be living in freedom, and that requires your own terms. And that requires letting go of past people, places, things that hold you back, that hold you into your old self. And that includes your own mental space. So you need someone to be able to guide you so that you can see where you're holding yourself back as well. This sage, holy basil, and yarrow mix is just so good. Just giving my whole world happiness and joy right now. Next in the art of letting go is forgiving yourself. This is key. This is so key, because you can forgive everyone else. And I don't know about you, but I tend to find forgiving others a lot easier than forgiving myself. I don't know if you beat yourself up all the time, or if in your mind you continue to go into the same patterns, the same circles of how you did something wrong, and maybe if you did it this way, or if it was like that, or whatever. You have to forgive yourself. You're going to make mistakes, and you're going to continue to make mistakes, and you'll wish that everything was different all the time. It's just going to happen. So you have to surrender into the forgiveness. And this goes back to the first most important thing, is trusting the process. You can only be the person that you are in this moment, and you show up to every moment in your highest self. You think about, well, what is the version of yourself, and how would they show up to it? Today, that version of yourself is going to be what you know in this moment. So you act from that place, right? And then let's say you learn that you did something you didn't want to do, or you did something amazing, right? Even better, right? And now you know you can do that again the next time. So you have to forgive yourself for all the past times you didn't know that information. You didn't know that. You didn't know how to express that. You didn't know how to be that version of yourself. You also have to forgive yourself when you don't show up in the way that you thought was going to be perfect, or it didn't end up perfect, or the person didn't receive you how you wanted them to. You just have to let it go and forgive yourself. No one else can forgive you like you can. Right? Like, imagine when you forgive someone else, right? It feels really good to forgive someone, and that person may feel really good, but they could still be feeling like, even though you forgave them, they could still be feeling bad. You might have experienced that yourself, where someone forgave you for something that you did, and then you're still processing it. You still feel bad. That final step is forgiving yourself, forgiving what happened, and moving forward. Because if you want to be the person that lets go, that moves forward, that does it in the highest way, the only person that needs that forgiveness is yourself, from yourself. How many times can I say yourself? Right? It's just like so important. It's so important. And it's one that I return to time and time again, because when the mental mind chatter is going and my thought process about how I'm a terrible person, or I didn't do this thing or that thing, it's the forgiveness that brings me there. Forgiveness and gratitude. The last thing that I want to share about with the art of letting go that I believe is really, really important and can be downplayed a lot is understanding the difference between being uncomfortable and not trusting yourself. What does this mean? When you want to live in your highest self, or the future self that you're envisioning, and you show up to a new experience in that way, it's going to be very, very uncomfortable. And not every situation will. So I don't want to speak in God language, but let's just say you are uncomfortable in that position, right? It can be easy to doubt that uncomfortability and to doubt what your inner self is telling you to do. So the difference between being uncomfortable and then not trusting yourself is not allowing yourself to be uncomfortable in that moment, because your truth and the thing that you need to trust tells you to do the thing. So this is very like out there, right? So let me put this down for an example. For myself, I want to be outdoors more often. That's uncomfortable for me, despite what you might think. Like in the beginning, it was very uncomfortable for me because it meant those days that I wanted to just lay in bed and not do anything, I had to get up, put on clothes, get really uncomfortable with going outside, go someplace I've never been, maybe do it alone, go on a hike, could be kind of scary. And inside myself is saying, this is what you want to be doing. But there's a part of me that's like very scared and is like, this is so uncomfortable. And you get really nervous. And it's like, maybe I shouldn't be doing this thing, but it is what's going to get me to where I want to be. So that also looks like with my prices, or with my business, or in a relationship that I want. I want to be respected in relationships. So my normal MO is to be a people pleaser, but instead of people pleasing, I will say what I need and what I want. And then that's very uncomfortable. And it kind of feels weird. And then maybe the feedback from that person is really mean or rude, and it could make me think that I shouldn't have done that. But that's where I have to trust myself and understand the difference between it being uncomfortable and then the wrong thing to do. So, as I said before, trusting your process and having forgiveness is going to help hold down living an uncomfortable life. So it's about getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. And there's so many times I am so uncomfortable and so not in my element. For example, doing these videos, it's like you would think they would be comfortable because I like talking, but it's actually really uncomfortable because I do so much better without a time limit, with friends, with people telling me or asking me questions. And this is more of just like showing up and talking to a screen. It's quite uncomfortable, but I'm trusting the process because I received the information and knowledge, and the muse of the earth was like, you're going to do this thing. So the mission has called me into this uncomfortable place. And what I'm doing is I'm forgiving myself and trusting the process. I'm not expecting myself to be perfect. I'm not expecting these videos to be perfect. I'm not editing the videos. I'm not editing myself. I'm showing up exactly who I am in the moment. And I'm working on being comfortable as an uncomfortable person, working on consistency to share information that I've been receiving for decades, decades. And people want to know about it. And I just like to hide in my space and like not share. So that can't fly anymore. Right. So I have to become uncomfortable. So I invite you today, right? One of my yoga teachers, Akil, I love him so much. He always spoke about this in yoga class. And this is where I began a physical practice of this, even though I was doing it emotionally, spiritually, and in my life for sure. But in my yoga practice, it was a place to practice it physically in a brave space or safe space or whatever you want to call it. But it was a reminding space. Like it was a place where I could go and remember this was like, do something that makes you scared every day, that makes you uncomfortable. Sit in the uncomfortability. And how do you do that? You breathe through it in a physical yoga practice. You're in this position maybe that you don't want to be in, and you're breathing through it. You're like, where's my limit? Where's my edge? How can I take it 1 inch back from my edge and stay in that space? And then test it the next time, my next edge, my next space. And so I encourage you and I invite you today to do one thing that makes you feel uncomfortable. This is going to help you in your art of letting go because it's uncomfortable to let go. It's uncomfortable to feel mean when you're letting go of a person. It's uncomfortable to let go of yourself that that you have become comfortable in, even if it's not serving you. It's uncomfortable to be in the new place that feels really good sometimes. Like last year, I realized that my word with joy, I was really uncomfortable with being joyous. It was so much easier for me to live in sorrow. And so I had to get comfortable with being uncomfortable in joy. And you would think being in joy would be amazing, but it was really uncomfortable. So I want to share that with you all today in the art of letting go. The tea I'm drinking, to recap, is sage, Salvia officinalis, yarrow, which is Achillea milleforium, and holy basil, Oseum teniflorum. So these are the 3 herbs I'm drinking today, a nice little triplet, and it is so nourishing, holding my boundaries, being able to help me let go, and recognizing that I don't have to explain why I'm letting go to anyone. I just need to do it. I need to be it. And that's what I encourage you all today, and invite you into being who you want to be, letting go of what you need to let go of, and staying in the uncomfortable places and finding comfort there, and trusting the process and seeing where it takes you when you live from a place that you truly desire. So I'll see you all next time on the Psychedelic Tea Chat.